Hi, my name is Diana and it's been a long time since I made a video. I've been trying to collect these interesting topics that I want to discuss, and over time I have collected a lot. But today I wanted to discuss about the phenomenon of comparing oneself to other people. And I think this is, of course, universal. It's very common, and it's, I think, human nature to compare. But I think it's much more prevalent in South Korean society compared to the West. And there are many interesting points about this. I see this topic coming up in so many of my conversations these days with Koreans and with foreigners in Korea. And I think it's more prevalent, or you can notice it more if you're living in Korea. And I thought it was just such an interesting topic to discuss and see different opinions from people in different countries. So I have broken it down to 5 main reasons why this is such a strong issue, in my opinion. Anyway, all of this is my opinion. It's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean it's the right opinion. It's just my opinion and my observations living in Korea. But I'd be really interested to see what your opinions are about Korea or about your own countries too. So feel free to start a discussion in the conversations in the comments. So jumping into it, I think that the crux of this issue of comparison starts from such an early age. And I think the first reason is the educational system in Korea. To compare with the West, I grew up in the UK, and the way the education system was, it is based on meritocracy. If you study hard and you get over 80%, then you are guaranteed an A. Overall, if everyone in the class studied hard and everyone got over 80%, they would all get an A, theoretically. But in Korea, and I know some other Asian countries also, is that you're graded relative to your peers. And so if everyone in the class got over 80% and you got just 80%, you might be the lowest ranking in the whole class because everyone got a higher mark than you. You would see like a scoreboard of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like ranked like this. So I think from such an early age, if the school system is like this, then you are inevitably going to be comparing yourself with your peers, and you would want to outdo your peers. That's the only way to get a higher score. And I think this fosters a competitive environment and makes these young children feel like innately this competitive feeling that carries on into their adulthood. And so that's the first reason, I think. The second reason is that after they become adults, the way the workplace is set up, you are supposed to address your peers or your co-workers by their job role and not by their names. And so this constantly reminds you every single moment that this person is at a higher ranking or lower ranking. And so this is based on Confucian influence, and it creates this hierarchy that, of course, in the language too, there is a hierarchy in terms of honorifics being used. But that is more, that's based on age, but it's based on politeness too. But in the workplace, it's more like this person's ranking is this person's job title is this, and they are referred to the job title. And so the CEO would be called CEO, like 대표님, or manager would be called manager, whatever. So each of the job roles are emphasized, and therefore it constantly reminds you and encourages people to be reminded of this ranking and where their own ranking is. And these 2 points kind of mix together, like education into the workplace, means that in most areas in your life, you are reminded of your ranking in the Korean society. My third point is about the collectivist culture, and like many other Asian countries, there is a collectivist culture in Korea, and therefore it means that we should work together for the greater good. And there are definitely lots of pros and cons of collectivism, but what it means is that there are group norms, and there are expectations and academic achievements, and there are stages, life stages, that at this point you should be doing this and you should be hitting these goals. And So because of this collectivist culture, it's very easy to compare what your peers or people of a similar age are doing, and feel like you're missing out or feel like you're doing something completely off the tracks, because there are these set kind of life stages that at this age you should be getting a job, at this age you should be getting married, and etc, etc. So I feel like then it's very easy to measure your success based on these group expectations and values. And my fourth point is related to the history of Korea and the rapid economic development. After the Korean War in 1950s, South Korea had to develop really fast to get out of this poverty. And I think in many ways it was very successful in that they managed to get out of this poverty. The country had become so much more modern, new buildings. If you've traveled to Korea, you can see that everything feels quite modern and fairly newly built. This heightened the competition because the only way to be successful in a super fast-paced society that is developing so fast is to also develop super fast and also accumulate enough wealth. And I think then this means that we have to compare ourselves to gauge our own success and status in this super highly competitive society. Otherwise, you're going to become irrelevant. And this also relates to the bali culture in Korea, which is why people are in a rush to do things, to learn things and be really good at it, because it's necessary to stay relevant in this fast-paced society. And my final point is related to social media influences. And I think, of course, there is social media in the West too, and there are many people who are highly influenced by social media. In Korea, I feel like 7 or 8 years ago when I came, Instagram was not such a big thing. A lot of companies did not have Instagram presence, and it was a lot based on like word of mouth and like leaflet marketing, like adverts on the subways. But then in the last maybe 5-6 years, Instagram started to become a thing for companies in Korea, but also personally to personal use. There is so much pressure to conform to this collectivist culture and society. It is just magnified like 100,000, hundreds of thousands times through Instagram and through social media. So it's easier to see other people with wealth and be able to compare themselves, compared to just comparing yourself to the small bubble that you may be in your work life or school life. Having these standards, having K-dramas and actors and actresses who look beautiful somehow trigger something in Korean people to feel like they want to look that way or want to live a life like that. And I think that is more prevalent than in the West. This issue of comparison is an issue if it is very unconscious and people are not aware that this is a cycle that can affect them negatively. I just thought it was such an interesting thing to dissect and work out like what is the crux, what is the main reason for this issue. And again, this is just my observation and my opinion, but I thought that it was related to these 5 points, and correct me if I have made any mistakes. So I hope to make another video about another interesting topic in the future, but I hope it was fun, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!